Let's start with quarterbacks. Who's your top five for week number 11?
So I have Patrick Mahomes number one, Josh Allen two because of some potential snowy weather this week, and then Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Fields.
Yep, I got a little different order. I still have Josh Allen number one. It's going to be hard for me to get him down from one, even with the weather. I have him like 1.5 points above Mahomes, so I'm interested to see our projections.
Well, Mahomes is getting those rushing stats now too.
I know. Yeah, I definitely. I mean, how many rushing yards do you have him for?
Probably still like mid-20s. Let's see, 25.
I have him for 20, so maybe I need to bump him up a little bit.
But yeah, Josh Allen, I have projected for like 240 passing yards. I am really throttling down the passing projections for that matchup. I know it's early in the week, but that total did drop like 4 points. So I think it is safe to say we will see heavy snow there. So I'm just trying to get ahead of it, having some fun on a Tuesday, with my projections. So yeah, I have Josh Allen closer to 240.
By the way, I went 2-0 on you, and you went 0-2.
Oh, so. No. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Are you up one, or are we tied now?
I actually didn't tally it. I think we probably are. We're either tied or
I was up by 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So you're either up 1 or tied. And how about us arguing over Jimmy G? I had him at 235. You had him at 245. And he finished with 240 passing yards. So,
yeah, there we go. The power, wisdom of the crowds.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, but yeah, I still have Allen number one, so it is going to be tough for me to get him down to number two. I would have to knock his projection down quite a bit, but for now, yeah, he's still number one. Mahomes 2, Jackson 3, Hurts 4, and then Justin Fields number 5. Who are you high on?
So rare time, I'm actually high on Russell Wilson this week. He's my QB 10 to open the week, and it looks like Jerry Jeudy avoided a major injury, which is huge. So he could suit up this week, it looks like, and KJ Hamler might return as well. So Russ had a pretty good game last week against the Titans, who are pass funnel defense. And this is another good matchup this week against the Raiders defense that ranks dead last against the pass and DVOA. So it's like I said, it's rare to have Russell this high in my projections, but he opens the week as my QB 10.
I mean, a good game to who? Not to Bronco fans.
Well, yeah.
He didn't have a good game with Bronco fans.
286 passing yards. It was nice to see them air it out.
That Jalen Virgil was like a big chunk of it. I think it was Jalen Virgil's first. I had him projected for like 0.1 reception too, because I saw
I'm surprised he didn't bug me Saturday night that he wasn't in.
He wasn't in our sheet?
No, I'm kidding. I think he was. But usually the elevated guys, the only ones that matter are on the Giants apparently. But Virgil, crazy.
He's been on the roster. He's been a scratch every week. But I remember him from preseason, so I was like, this guy could do something. And of course, the first catch. But yeah, Wilson's my QB 13, so I'm not quite as high. I mean, that's still pretty high for considering where he usually is. But for me, I am high on Daniel Jones. I have him as my QB 8, and he looks like he is the QB 10 in consensus. So I'm a couple spots higher. Just love the matchup against this, Detroit defense, and the Giants. They have one of their higher implied totals of the year because they're 3-point favorites. The total is 46, so that's about over 24 points that the Giants are projected to score, which is pretty rare for them. So Daniel Jones keeps on moving. Darius Slayton's playing well. Wan'Dale Robinson, I'm sure he'll still come on. Didn't really do much last week, but I just like what Daniel Jones is doing. And this Lions defense, we saw they had trouble, guarding the running quarterback in Justin Fields, and that's going to happen to this Lions defense because they like to play a lot of man coverage. That's just what they've been doing under Aaron Glenn. But what that does is, a lot of times the secondary and just the linebackers are going to be turning and running, covering guys, and that could give Jones some additional running lanes. So should be a good game on the ground for him. And he's been, doing just enough through the air. So like him as the QB 8 this week.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I have him at QB 8. And like you mentioned, Darius Slayton playing well certainly elevates Daniel Jones' ceiling as a passer. So this is a great spot for him. Looks like the David Sills, Marcus Johnson, Richie James experiment is over. So glad to see them sticking with, or their true top receivers in Slayton here.
Yeah, I mean, well, who played a lot more than we thought? Isaiah Hodgins.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I saw they claimed him, and I was like, this is interesting because he knows Dable's offense. I was like, watch him. Like, I just had a feeling he was going to eat into Galladay, and I think he got benched for Galladay too. So, I mean, that's probably a step up for Jones, probably a better weapon because Galladay really just hasn't been able to produce anything. Who you low on?
Well, I'm low on Jimmy G once again this week. He's like QB 15. The consensus has him QB 11. I agree that you're high on him because he has so many weapons, and I agree. But this is just another spot where I think they're going to lean on the run game here. They're 7-point favorites against Arizona. We might see Colt McCoy under center again here. They're without Zach Ertz, so it might be tough for them to put up points against the 49ers defense. So, and we saw Elijah Mitchell was way more involved than anticipated last week. So when he's on the field, that takes away CMC as a pass catching option. So, this is a good spot for CMC and George Kittle against this Cardinals defense that tends to funnel targets to the running back and tight end position. But Jimmy G only has eyes for Brandon Ayuk, so we'll see if he can pivot away from that. But either way, Jimmy G threw for 240 yards last week, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He managed to run in, that goal line carry for a touchdown, which helped bail him, but he was still the QB 19. So similar thing here where, yes, I do think he has a ton of upside for the rest of the season, but in these spots, I think they are going to lean heavily on the run game here. So that does kind of limit Jimmy G's upside.
Yeah, I'm looking at my numbers. I have 0.05. I have him 0.05 ahead of Russell Wilson. So he's my QB 12. Wilson's my QB 13. But that's pretty much as far as he could drop. It's QB 13 because then there's like my QB 14 is like almost a point away.
Yeah, do you have obviously Daniel Jones? I'm thinking about like streaming options, but I have Mariota. I actually have Taylor Heineke above Jimmy G right now, and it looks like that's it for streaming options. So I'm just saying in that streamer discussion, I might lean with like Mariota or Heineke this week.
Mariota's getting.
Oh, I know, right?
That dude's getting benched, bro. Like even if he starts, I wouldn't trust his. Like this got to be the week where they just can't.
Against the Bears. So
they can't keep doing this. Yeah. I would just prefer Pickett over those guys. But I do have Heineke 16. So he's up there for me too. I am low on Aaron Rodgers though. And I know he kind of came through last week with what is it, 3 touchdowns in that game? And
all the Christian Watson.
Yeah, exactly. All the Christian Watson. And those were great plays by Christian Watson, but even with those like 107 yards, 3 touchdowns from Christian Watson, Rodgers went 14 of 20 for 224 yards and 3 touchdowns. You take the Watson, plays away, he's 11 of 16 for, just over 100 yards and no touchdowns. So like this pass offense is not fixed yet. This is a tough Tennessee defense. I talked about last week. They were missing like 5-6 defensive starters. And I was like, I'm still taking under in this Bronco game because they're so deep on defense. So, who knows who they'll get back on the short week. But this Tennessee defense, I think it's going to be an ugly, low scoring game in this one Thursday night, just typical. I think the hype is a little too high. Like I have him at my QB 14 and pretty much no matter what adjustments I do, like he's not going above there. Like he's kind of locked in like a tier of his own at QB 14. So if you're in a 12-team league, he's the consensus QB 12. I actually would not start him this week. I would look for another option because just an ugly game. Tennessee's been above average in pass defense, and they could stop the run. Where if you could stop the run on Green Bay, now you just make it tougher for Rodgers because at least when they're running the ball, he's getting first downs, they're getting into good situations, and they're getting closer to the end zone where he could get some of those touchdowns because it's been a struggle when they have to kind of go downfield. So Aaron Rodgers for me, QB 14.
Yeah, and he was screaming at LaFleur to run the ball.
That could have got real ugly if they lost that game.
I know, but just how often have you seen Rodgers screaming to run the ball? But that's just the way the offense is right now. Doesn't trust his offensive line, doesn't trust his pass catchers. So You don't need to convince me to be low on Rodgers. I'm right there with you, with him being QB 14 as well.
Yeah, and he, like I said, he's like locked in. So like there's nothing really I could change to like, like sometimes some of these guys, you adjust, half a completion, 5 yards, and everything goes haywire, but not like Rodgers is pretty much locked into a tier of his own there. Okay, what are you doing for the prop?
Well, we got to stick with the Justin Fields rushing yards, especially after last week. What was the line you set last week? Obviously I lost that one.
Yeah, like I think mid 60s, high 60s, I think like 67 and a half.
Man. So then, he throttled the Lions for 147. Has a pretty good matchup this week against the Falcons. So how high can I set it? I'm going to go with 74 and a half.
Over. This is Michael Vick reincarnated. This dude is breaking records. The offense is different. They're an old team now. Because here's the thing about Justin Fields rushing yards. Like, the more design runs, that doesn't just give him more design runs. That gives the Bears more first downs, which means more play volume, which means, it just like compounds on each other. So it's like everything kind of is working synergistically with this newfound passing attack here. So yeah, I got to keep going over.
What do you have it set at? Like,
I have it right around there. I have it right around 80. But it's like when I look at like the floor versus ceiling, it's gonna be hard. We're still only 3 or 4 games into this number. The way I project, so I separate, kneel down, scrambles, and then designed runs that are not kneel downs or scrambles, and like. For me, those only take about 3 games to kind of stabilize. So, we have like a 3 or 4 game sample now of him averaging about 8 design runs that are not kneel downs over those last 4 games. So I have him a little over 11 rushing attempts, which is obviously super high. That's like Jalen Hurts territory. Actually, it's higher than Jalen Hurts this year.
It's beyond it. I just wonder if we have like a Nick Chubb situation here. We just need to manually give him like over 90 yards now. It's just he's just such an outlier that we're slowly getting there, but I wonder if we just need to pivot. I was hoping he would be on the under there, but I can't blame you. Oh no, it looks like Khalil Herbert was placed on IR.
Oh, I did not see that.
Devastating news. I have him in like a ton of leagues, but
wow.
Just more rushing attempts for Justin Fields potentially.
Unleash Tristan Ebner. Pick him up. Montgomery was losing carries, so it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure he's gonna get like a full workload now, but he was losing a lot of carries to Herbert. I think last week Herbert actually had more carries, so that's great news for Montgomery.
Very good news for Montgomery.
Unfortunate news for Khalil Herbert, obviously.
Yeah, bummer.